Hello, Radiant Leo. The universe has a message it's been waiting to deliver directly to your heart. If you've been seeing strange patterns, feeling a shift in your energy, or sensing that something big is coming, you're absolutely right. And you're not here by chance. What's unfolding between July 16th and 18th isn't just another moment in time. It's an energetic portal, one designed specifically for those who are ready to rise, break through, and receive what's already theirs. And Leo, this moment has your name written all over it. This isn't just a zodiac reading. This is your invitation to awaken a current of victory energy that's been building in your field for months, maybe even years. A current that's about to erupt into your reality in the form of 6 divine numbers. Numbers that are more than just lucky, they're encoded with wealth frequencies, soul healing, and alignment with your higher path. Yes, this is your jackpot energy window. And today, you'll learn exactly how to recognize it, work with it, and allow it to change your life from the inside out. Now take a breath and lean in, because here's what I want you to understand from the very beginning: you are not chasing abundance. You are aligning with it. When you step into this energy consciously, Leo, you don't force doors open, they swing wide at your presence. The money, the healing, the breakthrough? It doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from remembering who you are. And right now, the universe is handing you 6 energetic keys, 6 numbers that can activate healing in your body, transformation in your finances, clarity in your relationships, and above all, power in your truth. Each of these numbers carries a sacred vibration, a frequency that speaks to a part of you that may have been dormant until now. I'll walk you through each one, showing you not just what it means, but how to use it spiritually, practically, and energetically to shift your vibration and your results. This is the kind of moment that changes everything, but only if you're present for it. So stay with me, Leo. Because what's coming is so much more than prediction, it's activation. Before we dive in, let me take a sacred pause to thank you deeply for being here. Every like, every comment, every share, every subscriber who shows up here with openness and curiosity, you are the reason this channel, Eternal Mindfulness, continues to grow and evolve. And if something already stirred in you just from this opening, take that as your first sign. Your energy is already tuning in. And if one of these 6 numbers calls to you, don't hold back. Drop it in the comments below and write, "I receive the energy of number ____ with gratitude." That small act of claiming opens a much bigger energetic door. So tell me, Leo, what part of you drew you here today? What is your intuition trying to say? You'll want to stay with me until the very last second of this video, because what the cosmos is about to reveal is spectacular. And it's been waiting for you to arrive. Let's begin. When we begin working with the energy of number 3, we're not just talking about communication, or talking about liberation through expression. This isn't simply about speaking louder or being heard by others. It's about allowing the truth within you, the one that has lived quietly beneath layers of self-protection, doubt, or even politeness, to finally rise to the surface with clarity, beauty, and boldness. In the rhythm of the universe, number 3 vibrates like a bell that calls the soul into form. It's the sound of your essence crystallizing into words, ideas, and messages that long to be released, not just for others to hear, but for you to finally acknowledge. You see, Leo, your fire has never been about noisy, it's always been about presence. And the presence you bring into any space begins with what you are willing to say out loud. Not just externally, but internally too. What thoughts are you still whispering in secret? What parts of yourself do you edit before anyone else gets to see them? Number 3 is a gentle yet firm nudge to let those pieces breathe. Astrologically, this number aligns with Mercury, the messenger. But Mercury doesn't only rule over words. It governs thought, breath, pace, and intention. This means that over these next few days, what you choose to express verbally or creatively has a power that extends beyond the moment. The words you speak now are seeds. And what's most important is not whether others water them, but whether you plant them with love and clarity. Let's be honest, so often, we hold back because we believe our truth will disrupt the peace, disappoint someone, or make us seem too much. But Leo, your voice was never meant to be neutral. It was meant to be sacred fire, the kind that lights a path, not burns it down. The healing begins when we let go of the fear of being misunderstood and instead embrace the courage of being honest. Physically, this energy resides in the throat, and when that area is energetically blocked, you may feel tension, soreness, or even find yourself losing your voice. Not just your literal voice, but your sense of self. That's why this window of time is calling you to tend to your body like a sacred vessel of truth. Warm ginger tea, a moment of quiet humming, the decision to pause before reacting, these are small rituals, but they have the power to reconnect you with your core frequency. And let's talk about confidence. Not the kind that's projected, but the kind that's rooted. There is an incredible wealth that flows to those who express themselves with authenticity. When you share from the heart, not for applause, but from alignment, you create an invisible bridge between your inner truth and outer reality. Money, opportunity, and connections often find their way not through strategy, but through resonance. When your energy is clear, what belongs to you will always find you. In ancient teachings, it's said that when we silence ourselves out of fear, we create suffering not only within, but around us. Because the world loses access to the medicine only our voice can offer. Number 3 reminds us, the moment we choose to express what's real, without force and without apology, we begin to restore that balance, not just for ourselves, but for everyone we touch. So start small. 3 affirmations every morning. 3 truths you've never spoken aloud. 3 minutes of journaling without censoring. Let your fire become language. Let your silence become sound. Because this is not just about being heard by others, it's about hearing yourself clearly for the first time in a long while. And that is where everything begins to shift. There is something quiet yet powerful about the number 6. It doesn't demand attention, yet it has a way of anchoring us in what truly matters. After the expansive spark of number 3, where your voice was called forward, comes the gentle return inward. Number 6 is not about what you express outwardly, but what you tend to within. It is the energy of the heart, of care without performance, and of balance that is no longer based on sacrifice. Right now, Leo, your cosmic path isn't just about moving upward, it's about softening into the truth that you don't always have to be the strong one. You don't have to carry everyone else's weight while hiding your own. There's wisdom in asking, what would it feel like if I allowed myself to receive the care I so naturally give to others? This number brings the vibration of harmony and home, not just in a physical sense, but in a spiritual one. It asks you to return to the place inside yourself that feels settled, warm, and real. It calls forth the version of you that doesn't need to prove love through overgiving, or earn worthiness through exhaustion. It's an invitation to pause and become radically honest about where your heart feels full and where it quietly aches. Venus, the planet associated with number 6, governs not just love, but the value we assign to others, and more importantly, to ourselves. Under this influence, your relationships become a mirror. You may begin to see where your energy flows freely, and where it feels stuck. Where you're offering presence, and where you're abandoning yourself to meet someone else's expectation. The balance of giving and receiving isn't just a nice idea, it's a living frequency that determines whether your emotional world expands or contracts. From the perspective of embodied wisdom, the heart is not a place of logic, but a place of memory. It remembers what you haven't had the words to say. It stores moments you've rushed past, and it holds on to pain you told yourself you were too busy to feel. Number 6 brings a sacred kind of pause. Not a break from life, but a breath within it. A breath that says, "You matter too." In physical terms, this energy draws your attention to your chest, to your cardiovascular system, to the very rhythm that sustains your life. This is why it's important to move gently with yourself now. To open your body, not to force or discipline it, but to meet it with softness. Just 5 minutes of stillness, one hand over your heart, and the simple words, "I am loved because I exist," can begin a recalibration that no external praise could ever match. Financially, number 6 teaches you that prosperity doesn't come from isolation. It arrives through relationships rooted in mutual respect and trust. Ask yourself honestly, am I giving too much without boundaries? Or am I withholding out of fear that I'll be drained again? Neither extreme sustains you. But in the middle, there is flow where what you offer comes from fullness, and what you receive returns with grace. There is a subtle kind of wealth that shows up when you allow yourself to feel safe, not for what you do, but simply for being. And it is in that energy that true abundance grows, not just in your bank account, but in your sense of peace. To embody the wisdom of 6, you don't need to fix or force anything. Place 6 white flowers in your space to invite beauty and balance. Let their quiet elegance remind you, the most powerful healing often happens when nothing is said, but everything is felt. And before sleep, whisper to yourself, "I forgive. I am free." Not because everything has been resolved, but because you've chosen not to carry what no longer belongs to you. This is how you return home. Not through escape, but through presence. And from that presence, a softer kind of strength begins to rise. One that no longer needs to prove anything but simply radiates the truth, "I am enough, as I am." There's a quiet but unmistakable shift that happens when we arrive at the energy of number 10. It's not the kind of shift that announces itself with drama or noisy, it's more like the final exhale after a long-held breath. The closing of a door you've stood in front of for far too long. The gentle turning of a page, not because someone else said it was time, but because your soul knows you've read this chapter enough. This number carries the vibration of completion without regret, of ending without collapse. It doesn't signal failure or loss. Quite the opposite, it reflects the conscious moment when we decide to no longer hold on to what has already served its purpose. And Leo, you are standing in that moment now. You are not being asked to abandon who you've been. You're simply being invited to choose what is now aligned, rather than what once was. In astrology, the fusion of the Sun and Pluto brings this energy to life. The Sun, your ruler, is the center of light and life. Pluto, on the other hand, is the alchemist, the transformer, the one who burns away illusion to reveal the essence beneath. When these two forces intertwine, something powerful occurs, a rebirth that is not accidental, but earned. A transformation that comes not from external force, but from clarity rooted in deep inner knowing. That's the essence of number 10. It is the cycle that knows when to end. The fruit that falls because it's ripe. The season that shifts not because the calendar says so, but because the energy has already turned. And just like nature, your body feels this turning too. You may feel more tired lately, or strangely aware of what no longer feels nourishing, whether it's food, habits, or even relationships. This is your system's way of preparing for renewal. A gentle detox, even one as simple as warm lemon water in the morning or avoiding heavy, processed meals, isn't just about health, it's a physical affirmation. I am making space for what's next. And yes, something is next. Something real, something earned. An opportunity, a direction, a breakthrough. But here's the truth most people don't tell you: new beginnings don't arrive fully formed. They require room. They ask for trust. They wait patiently until we're willing to release what we've been clinging to with both hands. Because the universe doesn't deliver clarity to those who are still tangled in what's been. It brings clarity to those brave enough to let go. If you're seeing signs of something new, an unexpected message, a gut feeling about a project, an idea that just won't let go, it may not be random. It might be your next path asking, are you ready to walk through this new door? But that question comes with another. What must you place down before you pick something else up? Letting go is an art. In ancient teachings, it's said that grasping too tightly is the root of most suffering, not because what we hold is wrong, but because our unwillingness to release keeps us trapped. Number 10 invites you into a gentler wisdom, that endings, when embraced, become openings. That closure doesn't diminish what weighs, it honors it. To activate this energy fully, try writing down 10 things you're ready to release. Not because they were bad, but because they're no longer aligned. And when you're ready, in a safe and mindful way, burn the list as a quiet ritual. Watch the smoke rise. Feel the shift. Let yourself say, I trust what's next more than I fear what's ending. This is how we walk with grace. This is how we welcome the new, not by rushing, but by allowing. And you, Leo, are more than ready. You are no longer the person who needed what the past once offered. You are someone new now. Someone whose fire has been refined. Someone whose next door is already waiting wide open. There's a moment in every journey when the heart awakens to something more than survival, more than healing, more than waiting for the right time. That moment often carries the vibration of number 17, a signal that your dreams are not only valid, but ready to be made real. Coming right after the release and rebirth of number 10, this part of the path is not about endings, it's about the emergence of something entirely yours. Number 17 holds the frequency of forward motion rooted in inner truth. It asks not, what do others want from me, but instead, what do I want to create, simply because it lights something within me. This is the number of realization, not as an abstract hope, but as grounded vision. It's linked astrologically to Uranus, the force of innovation and freedom. But freedom here is not the absence of structure, it's the ability to move within your own rhythm, to build a life that matches your inner frequency. That's why number 17 often follows a period of letting go. Only when your hands are empty can you begin to sculpt something new with clarity. You may find yourself circling back to an idea you once shelved, something dismissed, delayed, or doubted. But this time, it feels different. It doesn't shout. It pulls gently, persistently. That's how you know it's real. What's rising isn't impulsive, it's intuitive. It doesn't require a perfect plan, only your willingness to start. The idea that once made you feel too small for the dream? You're not that version of you anymore. And 17 is the reminder that the delay wasn't a denial. It was a preparation. Physically, this energy often activates the nervous system, tingles of inspiration, restlessness, a sudden wave of energy, followed by fatigue. It's your body recalibrating to meet a higher creative frequency. In these days, take care of your nervous system as tenderly as you would a creative fire. Give it space, breath, movement. Walk under soft light, reduce stimulation, and spend at least 17 minutes a day doing something that brings no gain, only joy. This is where your magnetic field begins to shift. This is how opportunity recognizes you. And then there's number 22, the master builder. Where 17 is the dream, 22 is the blueprint. It comes with a grounded, steady pulse. Less exciting perhaps, but deeply reliable. This number doesn't just ask, what inspires you? It asks, what are you willing to commit to? It's the part of your journey where divine vision meets human choice. Number 22 holds the energy of manifestation, not through wishful thinking but through consistent embodiment. It's the vibration of decisions made in alignment, even when they're quiet, even when no one is watching. It's about bringing the dream out of the clouds and laying its foundation here on earth. This is where your neck, shoulders, and upper back may speak. These areas hold the tension of unspoken responsibility, of carrying more than you're meant to. With this energy rising, it's essential to release unnecessary burdens, not to avoid work, but to ensure that the weight you carry is actually yours to bear. Gentle movement, warm baths, grounding practices, theory not luxuries, but tools to clear space so you can lead from your core, not from survival. Financially, this is a powerful window to plan. Not because you're lacking, but because you're ready. Ready to clarify what success means to you, not what you've been told it should be. This is your time to sketch it, speak it, build it brick by energetic brick. Write 22 lines of your financial vision. Read them nightly. Not as fantasy, but as an act of alignment. The world doesn't respond to noise, it responds to clarity. And when 17 meets 22, when the dream meets the discipline, you don't just chase the life you want. You become the one who naturally lives it. That's how real transformation happens, not suddenly, but steadily. Through presence. Through choice. Through you. When we arrive at the energy of number 36, we're not simply talking about closure or healing, we're speaking of something much more sacred, the return of something once lost, but now reshaped by experience. There's a unique quietness in this vibration, a kind of stillness that comes only after we've passed through fire, not to burn, but to refine. Number 36 does not emerge in the middle of noise. It rises in the soft aftermath of what once felt unbearable. It carries the pulse of what was broken but no longer weak. It is the echo of what endured in silence, now returning to speak with clarity. In numerology, 36 is often seen as a master key for creative rebirth. It blends the expression of 3 and the nurturing of 6 into something that doesn't just rebuild, it reimagines. But this isn't the type of creative energy that requires a canvas or a stage. It's the creation of self. The reinvention of how you move through the world, after realizing that who you once were no longer fits the shape of your spirit. And so, this number often appears when we're revisiting pieces of ourselves we thought we had outgrown or forgotten. An idea, a dream, even a version of you that once had hope but was silenced by circumstance, rejection, or fatigue. Now, under the intuitive and gentle light of Neptune, this energy reawakens, not recklessly, not urgently, but with a kind of soft insistence. Like a wave that doesn't crash, but washes over again and again until the shore is smooth. There's a wisdom in this that reminds us, nothing that is meant for you truly disappears. Sometimes, it must dissolve to reform. Like mist returning as rain. Like the seed buried deep in the dark, appearing months later as bloom. That's what 36 brings. It's not about going back to what was, but allowing what was to return in a new form, at the right time. Physically, this can feel like an invitation to slow all the way down. You may notice your body craving rest, even silence. There's no need to interpret that as laziness or stagnation. It's the wisdom of your system asking for integration. When you've carried too much, thought too much, absorbed too much, the greatest act of strength is not in continuing but in pausing. A full pause. One that honors your nervous system as a sacred landscape, not a battlefield. That's why 36 calls you into digital stillness. Into nature, not as scenery, but as mirror. Sit beneath a tree, not to scroll, but to feel. Journal without editing. Breathe without planning. When you give yourself 36 uninterrupted minutes to unplug, you're not escaping the world, you're returning to your own rhythm. A rhythm that has its own timing, its own intelligence, its own way of knowing when the creative spark is ready to rise again. Financially, this energy may surface as an old idea revisiting you, not with the urgency of ambition, but with the peace of right timing. You may find that what once felt impossible now feels obvious. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You're no longer trying to force a path forward. You're walking it consciously, steadily, and with deeper trust. So when a spark appears, an idea, a nudge, a moment of unexpected inspiration, don't rush to monetize it. Don't silence it with practicality. Listen. Let it breathe. Let it unfold. This time, you are not the same. This time, you can hold it with grace, not fear. The lesson of 36 is simple, but profound. From the places where we once fractured, new light enters. From what felt like loss, a deeper form of alignment emerges. The fire you went through did not consume you, it refined you. And now, you are ready to rise again. Not as who you were, but as who you've quietly been becoming all along. Leo, take a deep breath, not just into your lungs, but into the space where your spirit lives. What you've just experienced isn't simply a horoscope or a list of numbers. It was a conversation between your higher self and the energy that's always been guiding you, gently and faithfully, back to center. These 6 numbers are not lucky charms. They're invitations. Each one is a soft knock at the door of a different room within you, the room where your voice lives, where your heart heals, where your path transforms, where your dream awakens, where your empire is built, and where your resilience becomes radiant. You didn't stumble across this message. Something in your energy field aligned with this exact moment, this exact sequence. And now that you've received it, the real magic begins not in the watching, but in the choosing. Which number spoke the loudest to you? Which one whispered a truth you've been avoiding? Which one made your chest tighten or your heart beat a little faster? That's where your attention is needed. That's where your transformation is already waiting. The path ahead doesn't ask you to run. It asks you to walk with awareness. To hold the vision but release the urgency. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. What belongs to you won't need to be chased. What's aligned with you is already circling back. But your job is to stay present enough to receive it. So take what you've learned here and bring it into practice. Will you wake up tomorrow and write 3 affirmations from your own truth? Will you create 36 minutes of stillness for no other reason than to reconnect? Will you take the idea that's been sitting quietly in your heart and finally breathe life into it? Remember, action doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes it looks like a pause. Like a breath. Like a single decision to no longer betray your timing. And from that still point, everything begins to flow again, not because you chased it, but because you aligned with it. I want to leave you with a question, one that I hope stays with you long after this video ends. What would your life look like if you trusted that you are already enough? Not someday. Not when it all comes together. But right now, as you are. What would you stop forcing? What would you finally allow? If this message stirred something in you, even quietly, take a moment and let the universe know. Share in the comments which number felt most alive for you. Say it with gratitude. Claim it with your energy. Because the act of naming is the act of opening. And when you share, you're not just affirming your own journey, you're relighting a path for someone else. From my heart to yours, thank you. For your time, your presence, and your willingness to show up here with an open heart. Every like, every comment, every share and every subscription keeps this channel Eternal Mindfulness growing in the direction of healing, wisdom, and realignment. And I mean this when I say, your energy makes a difference. If you haven't yet subscribed, consider it an act of self-love to stay connected with content that nourishes your inner world. Because here, we don't just predict, we remember. We realign. And we rise, gently but powerfully, back into the truth of who we've always been. You are not chasing good fortune, Leo. You are the frequency that attracts it. And the more you remember that, the more the universe reflects it. Keep walking with intention. Keep listening inward. The most abundant chapters of your story are still ahead. And you, dear Leo, were born to lead them.